So the it is realized and recognized by all of the people. However, his Sharia law, the legal law, the commandments Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants the people to adhere to, they don't realize it or recognize it. And this is the problem with people. The people has, this problem. Because as we mentioned that Shaykh Rahimahullah in his book Risala said, everything that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has revealed in his book, glorified be He subhanahu wa ta'ala, and all praise to him, is rahmah or hujjah. So it is a mercy from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, compassion from Him subhanahu wa ta'ala to guide the people to the right course of action towards every tiny thing or major or minor thing in their lives. It has been known by those who are knowledgeable, and it is ignored by the ignorance or unknown by them. And no one of those ignorance would come to realize it. This is what we are facing in the whole world. And those who are acquainted with the Quran, and they won't actually be unfamiliar with these facts. And he said, rahimahullah, وَالنَّاسُ فِي الْعِلْمِ طَبَقَاتٍ موقعهم من العلم. He said those, the human beings, with regard to knowledge, they are of levels or ranks. Okay. And he said موقعهم من العلم بقدر درجاتهم في العلم به. Their rank in knowledge is in accordance to their levels in the knowledge of the Quran. And this is a true fact. He who wants to gain a lot of knowledge, he has to embark on studying the Quran, and no doubt in the light of the Sunnah of the Prophet and in accordance with the Sunnah of the Prophet and in the light of the unanimity of the ulama and the teachings of our scholars, especially the righteous predecessors and those who follow their footsteps, rahimahumullah ajma'in wa rahimana ma'am. Then, so the people are levels and ranks in accordance to the knowledge, or this knowledge is based on the knowledge with the Quran. That's why a person should do his best to keep to keep himself busy with trying to understand the ayat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, because as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has revealed his book to his prophet, he subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed the sunnah as an explanation to the deen, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has preserved both. Then he said فحق على طلبة العلم بلوغ غاية جهدهم في الاستكثار من علمه. So it is a duty upon, it is a right due upon the seekers of knowledge to try to reach the highest, of that. The ghaya means the end, which they can do in accordance to their juhd, in accordance to their endeavors, in accordance to their capacity, and they should try to get as much as possible of the knowledge of the Quran. And along with that, وَالصَّبْرُ عَلَى كُلِّ عَارِضٍ دُونَ طَلَبِهِ. And they have to show perseverance and be patient with whatever comes, to drag you away, to hinder you from seeking the knowledge there. وإخلاص النية لله في استدراك علمه. And they have to recall always sincerity. They should purify their intention for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to gain and to gain that knowledge نصا واستنباطا, because the knowledge from the Quran and from the Sunnah of the Prophet would be either a nas, an evidence, clear, doesn't need any debate about it, and nobody will have any difference with regard to it. As Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَأَقِيمُوا الصَّلَاةَ وَآتُوا الزَّكَاةَ إِنَّ الصَّلَاةَ كَانَتْ عَلَى الْمُؤْمِنِينَ كِتَابًا مَوْقُوتًا. and واستنباطا, and the things that needs, one to do his best to extract the meanings of the Quran or to come to a ruling out of it. Like the istinbat is like what had happened at the time of Umar radiallahu anh, when there was a woman who was taken to him, and she delivered in 6 months, and he was about to to execute the punishment on her of zina, because she was only married for almost that 6 months, and she delivered, and it was unknown to them that a woman would deliver less than that. Ali ibn Abi Talib radiallahu anh, he said to him, O Amir al-Mu'mineen, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in the Quran, and he mentioned 2 ayahs where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has mentioned, as we discussed early in one of our classes, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned that وَحَمْلُهُ وَفِصَالُهُ 30 شهرا, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned that the pregnancy and the weaning of a child is 30 months, and he mentioned another ayah وَفِصَالُهُ فِي عَامَيْنِ, and his weaning would be in 2 years. So if we take 2 years with 24 months, subtract 24 from 30, we will end up having 6 months, which is the least term for delivery. And subhanallah, it is one of the miracles, the scientific facts known, that a baby less than 6 months, rarely it will survive, and a woman can deliver within these months, in 6 months. So نصا واستنباطا والرغبة إلى الله في العون عليه, and he has the طالب العلم, he has to do his best, seeking thereof and invoking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, supplicating him to give him the ability to understand the Quran and the Sunnah, and he has always to ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guidance, and that's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala always reminds us, and especially in Surah Al-Fatiha, إِيَّاكَ نَعْبُدُ وَإِيَّاكَ نَسْتَعِينُ. So this is to show the sincerity to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in ibadah, and showing the longing for his aid, and being eager that we know that we cannot seek assistance except from him subhanahu wa ta'ala. And after that, اهدنا الصراط المستقيم, Allah guide us to the straight path, and we need the guidance from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in every second in our life, seeking knowledge, or in our daily life, or in our own affairs. والرغبة إلى الله في العون عليه فإنه لا يدرك خير إلا بعونه. No, Imam Shafi'i rahimahullah said, no khair, no goodness, no blessings, no mercy, nothing good that would come to humans except by the help and aid of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And he said rahimahullah, Imam Shafi'i, فإن من أدرك علم أحكام الله في كتابه نصا واستدلالا ووفقه الله للقول والعمل بما علم منه فاز بالفضيلة في دينه ودنياه وانتفت عنه الريب ونورت في قلبه الحكمة واستوجب في الدين موضع الإمامة. So whoever attain to realize the rulings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and his ahkam, whether through the direct evidences or through the extraction and ijtihad, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has guided him to say, to preach this knowledge, and to implement this knowledge he has gained, he would have gained the high esteem and the honor and the nobility in his deen and in his dunya. Okay, and all of the doubts and the riyab, anything that he suspects, would be cleared, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would enlighten his heart with al-hikmah, with the great wisdom, and it's nothing, of wisdom better than the Quran and the Sunnah. And he would, be eligible in of imama, being a leader and an imam in the deen. So Imam Shafi'i, rahimahullah, he wants to, for us to recognize that the importance and the virtue of the Quran. And since we are in the month of Ramadan, we have to try our best to do the best to recite as much as we can so often, and try to contemplate and reflect upon the ayat to the best of the ability, referring back to a short tafsir or to what the grounded mufassirin, knowledgeable people, mentioned about these ayat and the ahkam of the Quran. So Imam Shafi'i continued saying, فَنَسْأَلُ اللَّهَ الْمُبْتَدِئ لَنَا بِنِعَمِهِ قَبْلَ اسْتِحْقَاقِهَا الْمُدِيمَهَا عَلَيْنَا. He said, we beseech Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and ask of him who had initiated the ni'mah, the blessings, and started his blessings over us without being eligible for that ni'mah, for these blessings. And the one who has showered us with this, these blessings and these bounties, and he made it over us continuously. So we are born to shortfall مع تقصيرنا في الإتيان على ما أوجب به من شكره بها. So we would be born to be in short to do what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made mandatory, to thank him and and to be grateful to him for these blessings. And the al-ja'ilana, and the one who had made us في خير أمة أخرجت للناس, in the best of the nations that had been emerged and have been come for the people. And he said, we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, فنسأل الله المبتدئ لنا بنعمه قبل استحقاقها المديمها علينا مع تقصيرنا في الإتيان على ما أوجب به من شكره بها الجاعلنا في خير أمة أخرجت للناس أن يرزقنا فهما بكتابه. أن يرزقنا فهما بكتابه, and we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give us and do us a true understanding of his book. أن يرزقنا فهما في كتابه. And he said, ثم سنة نبيه صلى الله عليه وسلم, because this is the essence. The essence is the Quran. So that's why he said أن يرزقنا فهما في كتابه ثم سنة نبيه صلى الله عليه وسلم, and then the sunnah of the Messenger صلى الله عليه وسلم قولا وعملا يؤدى به عنا حقا. ثم سنة نبيه وقولا وعملا, to also provide us with sincere speech or sayings and a practice that we would come and attain to pay for the rights due upon us. ويوجب لنا نافلة مزيد, and he would through that, through being grateful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and doing what should be done by us with regard to the Quran and the Sunnah and the ilm, in our sayings and in our practice, this will entail that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give you more and more. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has mentioned in the Quran, as in Surah At-Tawbah, يا أيها الذين آمنوا إن تتقوا الله يجعل لكم فرقانا ويكفر عنكم سيئاتكم ويغفر لكم والله ذو فضل عظيم. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, who you believe, if you fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and show piety, observe piety, taqwa, observe taqwa, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give you a furqan, a criterion where you differentiate and distinguish between good and evil. And this is actually something Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give the person extra to the knowledge he has. He will give him an insight to differentiate between evil and good, between doubtful matters, where the people sometimes might, be so perplexed and confused with regard to it. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to gain that criteria. And he said, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in the continuation of the ayah, يَجْعَلْ لَكُمْ فُرْقَانًا وَيُكَفِّرُ عَنْكُمْ سَيِّئَاتِكُمْ. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would expiate your sins, and nobody can be free from sins. وَيَغْفِرْ لَكُمْ, and He will forgive you, subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَاللَّهُ ذُو فَضْلٍ عَظِيمٍ. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has great, favors, magnificent, blessings and favors for him, subhanahu wa ta'ala. Then after this dua, we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and say Ameen, what Imam Shafi'i said. Imam Shafi'i said, فَلَيْسَتْ تَنْزِلُ بِأَحَدٍ مِّنْ أَهْلِ دِينِ اللَّهِ نَازِلَةً إِلَّا وَفِي كِتَابِ اللَّهِ الدَّلِيلُ عَلَى سَبِيلِ الْهُدَى فِيهَا. So there is, Imam Shafi'i wants to establish the fact that the Quran has the essence of all what's needed for human beings from the time of the Prophet ﷺ till the end of this world. Okay, regardless of the time zone, regardless of the places, regardless of the societies, regardless of the people's customs or traditions or whatever would happen, you would find in the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in the Quran, as the Imam Shafi'i said. So there is no issue. فَلَيْسَتْ تَنْزِلُ بِأَحَدٍ مِّنْ أَهْلِ دِينِ اللَّهِ نَازِلَةً. No issue, no incident, no calamity, crisis, whatever, okay, would happen to any person, okay, from the people who are following the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, except that in the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala there is an evidence guiding to the best course in that regard. He said, فَلَيْسَ تَنْزِلُ بِأَحَدٍ مِّنْ أَهْلِ دِينِ اللَّهِ نَازِلًا إِلَّا فِي كِتَابِ اللَّهِ الدَّلِيلُ عَلَى سَبِيلِ الْهُدَى فِيهَا. So the evidences are there. It just needs a person to dig deeply in the Quran and to reflect and to contemplate to find it. Then he mentioned the ayat with regard to that, proving what he said, and he mentioned 3 ayat. Someone can follow in the Quran. The first ayah is in Surah Ibrahim, okay, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, and this is ayah number 1, after saying Alif Lam Mim, كتاب أنزلناه إليك لتخرج الناس من الظلمات إلى النور بإذن ربهم إلى صراط العزيز الحميد. Allah Imam Shafi'i said, قال الله تبارك وتعالى, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala glorified be, he said, a book which has been revealed to you, or descended to you, O Muhammad, given to you clearly, to get people from the layers of darkness to the light. And if you look into the ayah, من الظلمات إلى النور, because the ways to astrayness and deviation are so many. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala save us. While the right path and the true path, the clear path, the straight path is one. That's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, النور من الظلمات إلى النور بإذن ربهم, with the permission of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, by the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, by His Sharia, by His law, to the straight of Al-Aziz Al-Hamid, the one who has the mightiness and the dignity and the one to be praised. And the other ayah, he said, وقال وأنزلنا إليك الذكر لتبين للناس ما نزل إليهم ولعلهم يتفكرون. And we have revealed unto you الذكر. الذكر here, as per Surah Al-Nahl, this is in Surah Al-Nahl, ayah number 44, for he who wants to refer to it. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, and we have revealed unto you a dhikr, to clarify to the people what has been revealed to them. Okay? وَلَعَلَّهُمْ يَتَفَكَّرُونَ, and so that they will ponder and reflect and contemplate and look into their, and understand, through, not blindly, no, rather through what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given a human being of the faculties of sound reason, of reason. And the dhikr here means the whole wahi revealed to the Prophet sallallahu the Quran and the Sunnah. That's why we say this ayah along with the ayah إِنَّا نَحْنُ نَزَّلْنَا الذِّكْرَ وَإِنَّا لَهُ لَحَافِظُونَ. We have revealed into you the dhikr and وَإِنَّا نَحْنُ we have revealed to you the dhikr and we will preserve it and protect it from being changed for you. إِنَّا نَحْنُ نَزَّلْنَا الذِّكْرَ وَإِنَّا لَهُ لَحَافِظُونَ. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made it a promise, and alhamdulillah, we are now 1400 years from the 1440 years, okay? And the Quran is still recited, in its pristine, words and al-fadh revealed to the Messenger sallallahu with the full, the continuous, authentic chain of narration till the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And this is one of the blessings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to this ummah, and it is only for them. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in the Imam Shafi'i rahimahullah said, وقال, means Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, وكذلك أوحينا إليك روحا من أمرنا ما كنت تدري ما الكتاب ولا الإيمان ولكن جعلناه نورا نهدي به من نشاء من عبادنا وإنك لتهدي إلى صراط مستقيم. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, and thus we have revealed unto you, Muhammad, روحا من أمرنا, spirit from the commandments and the commands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala called his book and his revelation and his wahi as ruh, because the life cannot go along without a spirit. So this Quran is ruh, is hayat, is a life for he who would implement it in his life. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, shows that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he used not to realize and know the book of Allah, nor the Iman. ما كنت تدري ما الكتاب ولا الإيمان, reminding him of the blessings. That's why every one of us should always remind himself to be humble and to emulate himself in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that he is to have no knowledge. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given him of this knowledge, and being grateful to such knowledge of the book of Allah and the Iman Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has endowed the person, to be grateful to him and implement it and practice it and share it, because it becomes a duty upon a person to preach and disseminate the knowledge he has to the best of his ability, especially when the need arises. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَلَكِنْ جَعَلْنَاهُ نُورًا نَهْدِي بِهِ مَنْ نَشَاءُ مِنْ عِبَادِنَا. We have made it, a nur, a light, through which we guide whomever we will from our servants, from our creatures. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, mentioned, the fact about his messenger and the way the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was sent and the guidance and his sunnah, saying, وَإِنَّكَ لَتَهْدِي. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made it stressed fact, and the certain. He made it, as we say in Arabic, tawqid with inna and the lam, وَإِنَّكَ لَتَهْدِي, and verily and indeed, you really guide to the straight path. وَإِنَّكَ لَتَهْدِي إِلَى صِرَاطٍ مُسْتَقِيمٍ. And no doubt that the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guides him, guides his heart, and he sallallahu alaihi wasallam, all of what he does, in his akhlaq, in his manners, in his life, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, in his sayings, in his practice, was guiding the people to the straight path. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to be following in his footsteps. This is in Surah Shura. Surah. This ayah is ayah number. I guess it's Surah. Which surah is this? Where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned إِنَّكَ لَتَهْدِي إلى صراط المستقيم. You can check it inshallah, but it's ayah 89, the last ayah in that surah. طيب. If you have question with regard to what we have taken so far, you can inshallah ask. If you have a question about what we have discussed of the saying of Imam al-Shafi'i about the Quran and that we have to do our best to cope and to implement in our life. If you have a question, you can ask. Otherwise, I'll stop just to repeat after the adhan, and I'll be back with you, inshallah. طيب الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله. اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما علمتنا وزدنا علما يا رب العالمين. We discussed this what Imam Shafi'i mentioned about the Quran, because we are in the midst of the Quran, and we have to stress this fact and to remind ourselves of the greatness of the blessings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, great blessing of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala upon revealing this Quran to us, and it is in our hands. We have to recite it and contemplate and reflect upon its ayat. Since there is no question, inshallah we'll take Surah Talaq today. And Surah Talaq is Madaniya Surah, and its ayat is 12 ayat. It has been revealed after Surah Al-Insan in the sequence of revelation, but in the the order of the Quran, sequence of the Quran and the order, it was being revealed after Surah Al-Insan. And the ulama sometimes they would mention why it was ordered after Surah Al-Taghabun. They would say in Surah Al-Taghabun, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has mentioned inna min azwajikum awladikum aduwwan lakum, verily from amongst your households, your wives and your sons, your and daughters are enemies to you. So this adawa might lead to a person getting rid of his enemy if this enmity reached a stage of, Allah save us and save all of you, and guide our hearts to take the right course of action with regard to our families, and being lenient, to the best of their ability, teaching them and being patient and perseverant. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guide, our wives and our children and our kids, and guide us all to the way most pleasing to Him. Due to the fact that this adawa enmity might reach the stage where separation could be the only resort, as the last resort. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has mentioned, ahkam al-talaq and the separation of this surah. And no doubt, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has mentioned it in a very nice and profound way. Okay. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in the first ayah, after Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, يا أيها النبي إذا طلقتم النساء فطلقوهن لعدتهن وأحصوا العدة واتقوا الله ربكم لا تخرجوهن من بيوتهن ولا يخرجن إلا يأتين بفاحشة مبينة وتلك حدود الله ومن يتعدى حدود الله فقد ظلم نفسه لا تدري لعل الله يحدث بعد ذلك أمرا. Before I delve into if someone has a book and can I don't know whether you have the book. Do you have the book, brothers?
Is it the Quran, Sheikh?
No, we have a book as well, actually, the last, 1/3 of the Quran. I'll download it. I'll check it if I can put it on the screen so that you can follow it, inshallah. Wait.
Right.
Okay, inshallah, there it is. It's time to broadcast it. This is Surah Al-Mulk. This is Surah At-Talaq. It starts here. Okay, divorce. Where's the ayah? Yes, this is the Surah Al-Talaq. So let me see how can I put it on the screen. Can you see it? Can you see the surah? Brothers, can
Yes.
you?
Yeah, we can see it. We can see.
If you don't mind, can you read Jazakallah khairan, the red color, the ayat?
The English one.
Yes.
O Prophet, when you divorce Muslim, O Prophet, when you, that is Muslims, divorce women, divorce them at their waiting period. Divorce them at their waiting period and keep count of the waiting period and fear Allah, your Lord. Do not turn them out of their husbands' houses, nor should they themselves leave during that period unless they are committing a clear immorality. And those who are the limits set by Allah, and whoever transgressed the limits of Allah has certainly wronged himself. You know not, perhaps Allah will bring about after that a different matter.
SubhanAllah. The end of this ayah is a very nice words where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, لا تدري لعل الله يحدث بعد ذلك أمرا. You know not, you don't know. Perhaps Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will bring about after that another solution, another matter. Subhanallah. This ayah in Surah At-Talaq, ayah number 1, first of all, let me check if there is sabab nuzul, because some brothers usually ask us about sabab nuzul. Subhanallah, today. The problem, many of us, sabab nuzul, as we know, are not authentic. But inshallah, we'll look into the sabab nuzul of this surah later if there is something discussed, even if it is not authentic, we'll just mention it and try to look into it. Here are some new words. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, O Prophet, when you, means when you, the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam and the, excuse me, when you, O Messenger of Allah, when you, O Prophet, or the Muslims, because anything mentioned, any order or any direct command or speech or advice to the Prophet ﷺ, it is to his ummah. Unless there is something, make it specific to him, ﷺ, as we always mention. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Ya ayyuhan nabiyyu, idha talaqtum an-nisaa fatalliquhunna li'iddatihin. O Prophet, when you Muslims divorce women, and actually here the ulama they say, idha talaqtum an-nisaa means when you intend, when you resolve to divorce them. إذا طلقتم النساء means when you resolve to divorce them. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, فَطَلِقُهُنَّ لِعِدَّتِهِنْ. عِدَّتِهِنْ, you should try to do that, to do the divorce. If you intend to make the divorce, look, not to make her waiting period, difficult on her. Rather, as we know, the talaq should be, okay, this is a question to you, since you attended, the class of Dr. Yahya in Bulugh al-Maram. Have you taken At-Talaq and, its ahkam? Sheikh Abdul Majid? Divorce and its ahkam, have you taken it or not yet? Hello?
Sheikh, if it's mentioning the new class of Dr. Iya, it's only Tahara we reached. So it was almost in the beginning chapters only. I don't remember we reached Talaq.
طيب, good. طيب. He said, there is two kinds of talaq. There is talaq bid'i and there is talaq, Sunni. Okay? There is talaq, the ulama they say, there is talaq bid'i and there is talaq Sunni. الطلاق البدعي, okay? الطلاق البدعي is when one divorces his wife while she's in her menses or period. Okay? While الطلاق السني, the true talaq, is to be done in the correct way, is to look, if the woman was in menses during her period, you should leave her till she gets out of her period and she becomes pure, and then, divorce her. So this is it, and he should not have come onto her, during that purity. If she was pure and he had come onto her, he should, wait till she gets her menses, okay, and then, becomes pure and divorce her. And subhanallah, the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants a Muslim not to take an action where he would regret. Because this period, if you, for example, if she was at her beginning of purity and he had come onto her, he should not actually make talaq onto her at that stage. Why? Because it might be, he might have taken the wrong decision with regard to talaq. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants him to wait, maybe for almost a month till she gets her period, the next term of her period, and she becomes pure, where he's resolved at that time with all of his mind. He's not angry. This whole period will make him to think, too much about the issue. Unlike if the person right when he becomes, angry and upset, he divorces his wife, regardless whether she is pure and he has come into her in that purity or she is in demons. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants the person not to take, a decision where he becomes regretful and remorse of what he had done. And in this regard, there is a poem in Arabic, it says, ندمت ندامة الكسعي لما غدت مني مطلقة النوار. There is this poem, which is a very nice poem, and it has a story behind it, and the ulama mentioned it here. They said, ندمت ندامة الكسعي لما غدت مني مطلقة النوار. Al-Kus'i was, a person who used to hunt. Okay, and this person, first let me, give you the meaning of the poem, this verse. ندمت ندامة الكسعي, I have, remorse and become so regretful, the same way as Al-Kus'i. Al-Kus'i is the name of the person. When Nawar became divorced, when he divorced his wife, they said that Al-Kus'i, okay, they said that Al-Kus'i has, just excuse me, اتصل عليكم شوي عندي درس. The Al-Kus'i was at that time, okay, was hunting, and when he hunted, in the dark, near to the nightfall, he shooted with his arrow. They used to use arc and arrow, and he shooted one arrow, another one, a third one, and he thought that he had not, got to the game. Okay, I guess he was hunting zebras. So what he did, he was very angry to the extent that he cut, or broke his, the story says that he broke his arc, or he cut his fingers. I don't know which is correct, but this story. Then after he did that, to find out when the light of the Fajr came, that he hit his game every time he aimed an arrow to it. But he didn't know and realized that. So he became so upset and in a state of depression due to the fact that he broke his arc, or he cut his fingers, due to not having the patience to realize and recognize and look what had happened. Allah Ta'ala. So the person, Allah Ta'ala has given a time for a person to do the talaq. Okay, so if he does it in that period, and it would be less likely that he would come to a wrong decision and a wrong, matter. Excuse me, because it's 4 o'clock and I have to call my son. So give me a minute, please. The meaning here, the other meaning is, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَأَحْصُوا الْعِدَّةَ, أي اضبطوها وأكملوها 3 قروء كوامل. You have to try to do your best to to look into and calculate how long it takes, means 3 consecutive purities, or 3 consecutive menses, period, blood periods, and one should try to calculate it the right way completely. And al-ihsa, why it is called ihsa, because the people at the time, early times, when they used to count, they used the hasa. Hasa means the, what do you call this, rocks, small rocks, pebbles. The pebbles, they use the pebbles to count. So this is al-ihsa. And الفاحشة المبينة in the ayah هي ارتكاب ما يوجب الحد. It's to come onto something that would, I would say this, makes the person to be eligible, liable for fixed punishment. And this is الفاحشة المبينة, to commit anything that has a fixed punishment in the deen, like zina or like what. Also, they said al-fahisha could be the bad language and the foul language used against the, the parents, the house, the family of the, the person. Okay, let me. Also, some of them, they said al-fahisha al-mubayyinah is to, if they would come out of their homes before the finishing of this iddah, of the waiting period. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَتِلْكَ حُدُودُ اللَّهِ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has mentioned, these are the limits, set by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, His sharia, His laws, that He has ordered and He has, prohibited you. And whoever does that would have wronged himself, and he would have أضر بها, he would have, harmed himself. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, ومن تعدى حدود الله فظلم نفسه لا تدري لعل الله يحدث بعد ذلك أمرا. الأمر here is the, the, with regard to this ayah, especially, means the remorse, nadam, to divorce, okay, where a person would try to get his wife back, and he won't be able to do that. But this is the general meaning, or the meanings of these words in this ayah. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has, in the meaning, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has ordered the believers to divorce their wives in purity, and to count this waiting period. The waiting period will be, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned, ثلاثة قرون. ثلاثة قرون means 3, consecutive menses, or 3 purities. Okay, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has said that they should فَطَلِقُونَ الْعِدَّةِهِنْ, and the true iddah, he should divorce her in a purity where he should not have come and touched her, okay, in the bed relation. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, they should not be divorced, while in the menses, okay. And He has ordered us to calculate and to restrictly count these, iddah, okay, because fearing that one would transgress the limits of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. What are the transgression of the limits of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? It might come out of her iddah, and the people, because they didn't calculate, he thinks that he can return her back as a wife. And this is, as you know, if it goes out of her waiting period, it's forbidden for him to take her just by saying, أراجعك. He has to remarry her. They have to do a new contract, a new marriage contract. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said that they should not be driven out of their homes. لا تخرجوهن من بيوتهن. And again, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, wants to establish the fact that these homes is for them, okay? He didn't say لا تخرجوهن من بيوتكم, do not drive them out of your homes. No, rather he said of their homes. So it is theirs. And one should try to realize this. She has to stay home and she should not be driven. Unfortunately, many Muslims now, when they divorce their wives, he would, or she would, when it took the initiative by herself, taking all of her luggage, all of her stuff, and she would, go to her families or go out of home, which is actually, this is a sin, upon her, because she's not complying and adhering to what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants to keep this relation to the best of the ability. And if the woman stays home and she would do her best, to return back to herself and reconcile, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would reconcile the situation if there was a problem from her side. And if there was a problem from the husband, maybe he will look into what was the problem and come to a resolution with her. Then they should not be driven out of their homes, and they should not get out of it till the waiting period finishes, unless there will be a sin, a clear sin that had happened from them, like starting to use the foul languages, or insulting, cursing the husband, or cursing his parents or his relatives. Then this will this is an excuse and the reason behind taking them out of home before the waiting period is over. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, and he whoever would transgress the limits of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, وَمَن يَتَعَدَّ, these limits of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala set by Allah, he would have wronged himself, and he would have done something that would end up not in his favor. It will be against him. It will be harmful for him, maybe in this life, and maybe in this life and in the hereafter, maybe in his deen and his dunya together, and maybe in his dunya only, okay? And he would regret and remorse either in the short term or in the long term. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala save us. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has mentioned the wisdom behind leaving them in their homes, and it is لعل الله يهتدي بعد ذلك أمرا. It might happen, a matter that might occur by returning back to them. The situation would change, and the love would return back, and the hatred would be changed to more intimacy between them. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is all knowing, all wise with his injunctions. We will stop here, inshallah, because it's almost 10 minutes after 4. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward you for your presence. It is also the salah time. We don't want to take you much, because maybe you have to buy something before the curfew. If you need or have a question, you are most welcome. Otherwise, we have finished our class today. May Allah bless you and reward you for your attentive listening. اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما علمتنا وزدنا علما يا رب العالمين. اللهم اغفر لنا وارحمنا وتب علينا وتجاوز عنا وتقبل منا صيامنا وقيامنا وأعنا على ذكرك وشكرك وحسن عبادتك واجعلنا من عبادك الراشدين. اللهم لك الحمد حتى ترضى. اللهم جل عنا وعن بلادنا هذا الوباء وهذا البلاء، واعدنا يا رب العالمين إلى مساجدنا سالمين غانمين غير خزايا ولا مفتونين. اللهم لك الحمد ولك الشكر على ما أوليت وأنعمت. اللهم ارزقنا الإخلاص في القول والعمل، وزدنا من فضلك يا كريم المنان. ارحم ضعفنا، فرج همومنا، اغفر ذنوبنا، اقضي ديوننا يا رب العالمين، واصلح لنا أزواجنا وذرياتنا وأحوالنا، واهدنا إلى صراطك المستقيم. سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين. If you have a question, you can come to the mic. Most welcome.
Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh.
Alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Regarding this waiting period, Sheikh, for example, he did the talaq, first one talaq, number one, and then after 1 month, he decided, okay, let me return my wife back. Does he have to go through another marriage contract, or he can just join her?
No, it's enough that he, as will come with us, inshallah, that it's enough to look into two, truthful, witnesses, and say that, as I divorced my wife a month ago, I, want you to be witnesses that I returned her in the marriage or in the wedlock. Okay, it's enough. Okay, but after she goes, from the iddah, then it would be, it needs a new marriage contract. That's why the calculating the iddah should be there. Okay.
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 Jazakallah khair. Jazakallah khair.
Any more questions, brothers? I guess there is no questions. Maybe Brother Azam has a question. Allahumma ameen. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward you for your attentive listening, for attending, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward you, Sheikh Abdul Majid, for letting us having this opportunity, alhamdulillah, to have, without, being cut off or terminated from the program. Inshallah, your idea was great, and may Allah reward you for what you have spent. And it's a blessing from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He has given us this opportunity to, to get our class done. And by the way, also I have recorded this, alhamdulillah, this lecture, this class.
Zawar uncle is coming.
No,
He's here.
yes, we have recorded
He asked me that I can come collect.
Okay, so we have recorded this. So inshallah, if anyone wants to go to the recording, then inshallah it will be in the go. Inshallah. طيب, jazakallah khair, all of you. If you have a question, you are most welcome to ask. If not, then it was my pleasure to be with you today. نسأل الله عز وجل أن يتقبل منا ومنكم. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept all of our deeds, make it sincerely for His sake. Forgive us all together, and may, as He made us to finish almost now a week or so from the this month, to make it easy on us to finish it whole and to be able to stand in the Laylatul Qadr in prayers and be accepted in all of the nights and our fasting. اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما علمتنا وزدنا علما يا رب العالمين. سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم والحمد لله رب العالمين. We are going. آمين وإياك.
جزاك خير.
Okay, السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته.
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته.